What is going on, everybody? Cody from MotorcycleMD. In this video, we'll be going over the first part of a two-part series talking about lacing and truing a rim. This job will be done on a 36-spoke equal flanged hub. I'll go over all that stuff in the video. We actually just went this way further in depth over on the Inner Circle, but I thought that it would be really nice to pull a video together for you guys as well. So here it is, part one of lacing a spoked rim. Off of a 78 CT90. I already got the front rim trued up, original spokes, original rim, but the rear one, I could tighten up some of them, but some of them I could not, and they were very, very loose, like this one here, because of the corrosion that's around on, which is very common on an old bike, on these nipples here that you make your adjustment here. They just would not turn without snapping them. Okay, so I have to get all new spokes, which I got, brand new nipples. They're a little bit shorter. They're about a millimeter off from what these stock ones are, which is okay. Maybe a little bit of thread will be showing, but not much at all. Factory Honda ones were about $120 for the whole set. So what we got to do is obviously unspoke it. We need the rear tire and tube and all that off, rim band off. And instead of just trying to loosen up all these one by one, which you'll spend like freaking 30 minutes just doing, when you're going after the rim and you know you're not going to reuse the spokes, you can cut them, okay? With a grinder, you can cut them, wear safety glasses, wear gloves, and just go at them with a grinder or whatever you got, snips, to just cut them all off, okay? It's a huge time saver. We're replacing all of them. It does not matter. If you are nervous about doing this, obviously what you can do is snap some pictures of how these things are laced, you know? Take a picture of just a nice close-up of inside the rim, maybe even a video, a slow pacing video of how these things all lay out. Factory metal steel rims, good brand rims like DID, that type of stuff, really nice to true up. Okay, they true up easily. There's not too many imperfections in the rim. When you start going with aluminum stuff, like I did on my 350, cheap color painted rims or whatever, and they're soft metal, there's a lot of imperfections, and they may walk or have a hop that you cannot get rid of just because of the rim itself. So steel rims are ideal. So let's go ahead and get rid of all these spokes and get cutting. So equal flange hub. Both of the flanges are equal to each other. It's not offset like some Harley stuff. Obviously you saw I did a little bit of prep work, kind of cleaned some stuff up. There's not too many times you can get to this to clean it up, so it's a good buddy of mine, so I cleaned it up for him. But on the hub itself, you'll see some remnants of the old spoke patterns. You can see that line that kind of runs across these ones. So we know that those are going to be outer spokes. Alright, so we want to kind of try to keep that same pattern and install the spokes the same way, so we're covering that line back up again. Otherwise you'll make it look like a ugly rim, right? When you get your spoke sets, if the company is smart, which most are, when you get your spokes in your bag, or two separate bags, or one bag, you'll see that some are faced one way, some are faced the other. Okay, don't start mixing those things all up. They do that for a reason. They put either the outer spokes in one way or the inner spokes the other. So I'll just grab all the threaded ones and put them on one side. Now, determining between the two sets as to what's what, okay? Outer spokes will always have a angle that is either 90 or less, usually less than 90. And then the inner spoke will have a degree of the angle more than 90. Okay, so this one you can see it's not a perfect right edge, it's kind of flares out a little bit. Okay, this is a inner spoke. This is a outer spoke. It's almost similar, but if you look at it long enough, you'll see that this one's pretty much 90 or less. Okay, and it is less. You can kind of see that. So, less than 90 will be the outer spokes. Okay, most commonly on Honda rims, they do an angled spoke pull, and what I mean by that is the spoke's going to go in like this, and that's how it's pulling. They're all kind of pulling against each other. Some rims, some KTM, some of those Euro stuff will have straight pull, where it's kind of a different hub setup, maybe a different flange up here, and they have one spoke that kind of just juts straight out, and that's considered a straight pull, right? So I'm not going to dive into that, because that's not what we're doing. We've separated the spokes. We've got all these nipples. These are all the same style of nipple, so I'm not too concerned with that. All right, whenever you start lacing your rim, obviously the way that you start is most important, right? Because if you start wrong, then you'll end wrong, and you have to take it all back apart again. First step is to locate your valve stem hole. Okay, you can either have it towards you or away from you. I like to have it away from me. And we want to install all of our inner spokes first, before the outer. You cannot install the inner spokes if you've installed the outer spokes. All right, when you start lacing them all up, lace all the inner stuff, put them all in the hub, and we're going to send one in one direction, and the lower flange will send the inner spokes in the opposite direction, so they'll be counterclockwise to each other or clockwise to each other, right? So all the inner spokes first. And one good rule of thumb is to take your first two spokes that you put in. Okay, so we know that these ones are outers, and what I mean by outer is the flange, or that hooked section of the spoke, is going to go outside of the hub. It's going to wrap around outside. The inside ones loop inward, so we're pulling from the inside. This is pulling from the outside of this flange. Okay, so that line there is for the outer ones. We're going to start with our inner. Send it straight down, and then right to the right of that, okay, staring straight at it, we're going to go ahead and drop our other one. If you look straight down into the hole that is directly to the right of it, so not that one, but that one down there. Okay, if I lay the spoke flat, I look straight down, it's that hole right in there. We'll put that one in there like this. Okay, inner, they're on the inside of the flange. So we're going to send these ones, the upper flange, we're going to work with one side at a time in a counterclockwise direction, so be counterclockwise, okay? So we're sending them so in line, that would be counterclockwise. So we're going to do that. We're going to skip one hole every time and just go all the way around, do both top and bottom. So skip a hole. So I'm just going to take this and start sending my other ones through every other hole as well. It looks confusing, don't worry. Okay, do not worry. We will make sense of it. So there's my bottom one, that lower flange. I'm going to send that one through in the right way. Skipped every hole, just like I oughta. Now let's go ahead and lay these things in there right. It's kind of tricky. Let's just remove this real quick. So the inners, we're going to go counterclockwise of the top flange. So I'm just going to take one of these spokes and go opposite of each other. Boom. Awesome. We got some nice overlapping action going on. Okay. It's looking a little wild, but it's good to go. So now, let's go ahead and tape those first two. And really, like, you can choose whatever one you want, really. But this is just a good marker to see where you're at. There's the first one and that second one I put in right there, right side by side of each other. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install these inner spokes correctly on the rim. So now all we got left are outer spokes. So if you wanted to right now, what I like to do is just take a little bit of grease. I'm going to go ahead and hit up just one little dab right across these threads. I think it preserves them a little bit longer. I'm not going to put Loctite on them, that's silly. But I think the grease kind of helps preserve these things a little bit longer. It helps you adjust them a little bit easier. Go around and hit all of them. I'm not putting a lot, I'm just kind of touching those threads. Alright, so now, rim time. You gotta kind of get this all in there as best as you can. What you need to do, these are the 36 spoke rim, but there'll be eventually there'll be 9 groups of 4, okay? And those 4 that you'll see are all different. They're all different to each other. You got inners and outers on different angles of the rim. So that's why it's important to put these inner ones in perfect right the first time. We want to install my first upper inner spoke clockwise, 1 spoke over clockwise of the valve stem hole. Upper inner spoke counterclockwise. Just throw a nipple on there. We're not going to tighten it all the way down. We're just going to give it 1 or 2 spins. Alright, so once we got that first one in, we can go ahead and start lacing the rest of the upper ones. Now what we're going to do is every 4th hole. So that means 3 holes in between each inner spoke. So we're 1 clockwise of the valve stem hole, and there should be 3 holes in between before we put the next one in. So we'll start counting from this spoke. 1, 2, 3, 4. That next inner right here is going to go right there. Okay? 3 holes in between. 1, 2, 3. Alright, do it again. 3 holes in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab my next one over. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 in between. We'll throw this on there. Couple spins. Grab my next one and just go all the way around. It gets kind of weird doing this flat like this because the flange is taller than the rim. If I could bring this up a little bit, it'd be a little bit easier, which I could just grab some 2x4s and do that. I just don't feel like going to get them right now. So I'm going to fight and struggle, and you guys can watch me and point and laugh. These nipples are larger than the original ones. The factory nipples, I can't buy them by themselves. Through Honda, I have to get the spoke set. This had a Honda logo on it, but the weird thing is, I can't find this part number for anything. The description of this part number does not come up in Honda's database. This had a 159, 12 by 159 size spoke, which the originals were 12 by 162, or 12 by 161.5, so like a little bit longer spoke. So they're a little bit shorter, but these nipples are a little bit bigger. So, still not a problem. What I did was I just ran a little bit larger drill bit to clean up. They were really rusty too, but to clean up all the holes, I kind of try to keep it in the same direction as the way that they're angled. And what that does is it puts some burrs up on top of here. So what I'm doing, I'm taking a little grinding bit like this. I'm just going to run it, kind of countersink that hole. Okay, so there's no more burrs. So I'm going to go around the whole rim. I'm going to end in right here. Right on top of the hole, real quick, just like that. For a fact, I'm going to end up with one of these burrs in my fingers. I know it. That's what I get for not wearing gloves trying to do that. If you were really good, you could probably start lacing up the other side as well, but it's just better to take it one step at a time. Alright, 3 in between. 3, 3, 3. So now what we can do, we can take this and spin it over. Kind of carefully. Yeah! Alright. So now we're working opposite of what we were just doing. Now we'll take our other spoke, which was the one that was right underneath Remember when we installed one first and the one right beside it? That's this one right here. I know it's way far off from that one, but it's the one that's right beside it here. Let's go ahead and install this. What we want to do is install it on the 7th hole, counterclockwise from the first hole that we put in, okay? We'll start counting from here. Here's where we put it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to go in right beside this one right here. Alright? And if it doesn't seem like it reaches, take your hub and pull it nice and tight to get all the nipples in, and you should have enough room. And if it does not go all the way in, it's still okay. Okay? Because what we're going to do is drive that nipple in there further. Now, we'll start from here, and our next one over, we'll lace it to every 4th hole. Okay, so starting here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 4th hole. So they're all going to line pretty much side by side with the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll go all the way around. The outer spokes are easy. It's just getting this thing set up to begin with is what makes it kind of confusing. Voila. Looks more like a rim, huh? Alright, now we'll do the outers. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We can kind of put maybe 2 more turns on these outer spokes. Let's do it. I had my white balance off this whole time. As we know, outer spokes are going to come up and bend over because we need to get that line put back in there, right? So I'll pull this over to the side, route it straight up through. Maybe give it a little bit of love. Alright, we'll go ahead and install the nipples for them. They pretty much line up where they need to go. It's going to go right beside. It can't go in this one because the spoke's not even short enough to go in that first one. It's going to go in this long one. It's as natural as it should look. The outer ones are pretty self-explanatory. It should pretty much just line up right where they go. If you're forcing something, you probably don't have it laced right. Especially these outer ones. You shouldn't be forcing anything. Sometimes, if I had the correct spokes, length, that 161.5, I'd probably be fighting it a little bit to get it inside of that hole, because it's just a little bit longer than what this hole is. This one has some room to kind of flow around on it, right? But if I had it, this one right here, am I in the shot? Yeah. If it was a little bit longer, like I said, you might be hitting that hump. So you need to loosen up what you have done so you can kind of shift this hub over a little bit and kind of work with it and jiggle it, and then you should be able to get each one in. Awesome. Flip this thing over. Do the exact same. Oh, one fell out. Normally these should slip right in, but these holes are a little bit corroded. You give me one extra outer spoke. It's so nice of them. Line them up. Last hole. Sometimes it's easier just to grab a flathead screwdriver. Okay. Check that out. We have a spoked rim. Okay, what I was talking about earlier is those groups of 4. That's a group of 4. Okay, all this right here. That's a group of 4, 4, 4, 4. There should be 9 groups of 4. And now every one of these holes are different angles. Okay, to each other. So group of 4, and that's usually what you're truing by is groups of 4. A lot of people say, oh, only do the inners on hop. Generally, yes. Outers adjust wobble, inners adjust hop. And we'll get into that once we start truing it up. Kind of make this thing a little bit level, right? And then we'll just kind of hand tighten all of these. I'll go around and just go them until they stop. If you want, you can start on the other side as well. Tighten them in a little star pattern if you want. I don't care what you do because you're going to be changing the oil anyways. Time to put it in the truing stand. Let's get cleaned up and then we'll put it up in there. Up in there. Up in there. I hope you guys found that helpful. Next video we'll be going over truing the rim. Okay, getting it nice and straight. This is helpful for even if you're not relacing the rim. If you just want to check the spokes and maybe you ride a dirt bike or whatever the case is and you have some loose spokes, bringing that rim back into spec is important. So I hope you find that next video helpful. Until then, be sure to join the mailing list where you'll get updates on live streams, new videos, new content that comes out. And if you want to get more in-depth training, or maybe you just want to get some private help on an issue that you have with your motorcycle, be sure to check out the Inner Circle membership. Tons of people are fixing their bikes all the time on there, and it's a great community of riders who are just like you. So, until next time, Cody from MotorcycleMD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. Later.